Hello, my name is Tessa Stone. Me and my fellow teen service librarians are here to discuss the current concerns of our teen library. My colleague Punky will be beginning this important conversation.
Hello, Library Administration Board. Recent evaluations of the teen space in our library have shown that it is underutilized by teenagers, leading to an interest in combining the teen services and children's services sections into a youth services department. In this presentation, my colleagues and I will share with you why it is important to have a separate teen services section in our library, as well as propose changes that can be made to the teen services we currently offer to better serve teens in our community. Before we look into our library specifically, it is good to have a general understanding of what teen library needs are. The first key need that library spaces often cater to is the need to privacy. Teenagers exist at a period in life where they may have interests that their parents just don't understand. Just like adults that visit public libraries, many teens just need a space away from family and peers to engage in media and research privately. Teens also need comfort in library spaces. And while adults in libraries may be satisfied with comfortable furniture, for a teen that can mean something else. For some teens, being around adults and even adult librarians, even if that adult librarian is a teen services librarian, that can be uncomfortable because they can feel like they are being watched or judged. One of the most important and most currently talked about teen needs that libraries can and should be fulfilling is the need for a third space, or a place that is away from home and school. Teen spaces and libraries can serve as a third space and facilitate conversation and socialization between teenagers where they are not confined by school, where they are usually socializing with their peers. In the modern era, a lot of places that used to be third spaces are very exclusionary. For example, teenagers aren't really able to hang out in malls as much these days because there's either the barrier to entry of having to purchase things or you're considered loitering, or some malls implementing rules where teenagers must either be accompanied by adults or are not allowed on the premises after a certain time. Another teen library need is just for libraries to listen to teens, whether that be through listening to what they want from programs, what books they want the library to purchase for them, or sometimes just to know that there's a trusted adult around that can listen and possibly give advice to them, or at least connect them with the resources that they need for different life situations. Now that we understand a little bit about what a teen library space should be fulfilling, what should a teen library space be? As said by Bernier in the not so great YA space debate, a teen space should be separate but not segregated. That means that there should be a dedicated teen space in a library that is away from the greater adult portion of the library and also the children's section of the library without it seeming like this space is intended to segregate them or hide them away from other patrons that may be seen as more desirable, like adults. A good teen library space should serve as the entrance point for the teens. It's a place in the library specifically for teenagers that can help them feel more comfortable and acquainted to the library, but it's not the only place in the library that they should feel they're allowed to be. For example, in our library, it's been noted that there are a lot of teenagers that come to the library and don't necessarily go to the teen space. This shouldn't be considered a flaw of the teen library space because this is a space specifically for teenagers, but the other parts of the library are not spaces that are specifically not for teenagers. And teen library programs may be catered more towards teens, but some teenagers may feel that they want to engage in programs meant more for adults. Teen librarians are here to guide teenagers to take advantage of the library programs and services that they feel best suits their needs. It should also be a judgment-free zone. Many adult patrons and even adult librarians can be unnecessarily harsh on teenager behavior, even if it is the exact same as that of their adult peers, simply because a lot of media paints teenagers as negative or violent people, and that leads to many people not in that age group wrongfully assuming that every teenager is going to be like that. Aligning with the idea that a teen space is an entrance point, teen spaces are also transitional. As teenagers lay in the transitional period between childhood and adulthood, the teen space shouldn't necessarily be leaning into either of those, but allow for a smooth transition between the two other spaces in the library. Now that you know more about the physical space, what are teen library programs and what should they look like? A lot of people, and even librarians, assume that all teen library programs should be educational, but should they? Maybe. A study published at publiclibrariesonline.org found that teens were equally interested in technology access for academic use and for social use. It's easy to assume that teen library programs should center education, as most teenagers are in high school and thinking about college. But if that's not the demand that our community is seeing, then it would be wise to focus our efforts on other types of programming. Some of the most popular teen library programs seen around America are ones that focus more on social interaction. Social library programs can range from movie nights to video game tournaments or even friendship bracelet making events. These events can help unite a group of teenagers over a common interest that they may not have known the other person shared. Libraries aren't just places to read or look at computers silently. They're also places to meet new people and make lifelong connections. The most important thing to keep in mind about teen library programs is that they should be valuing teen input. Many librarians that are coming up with the programs in our library may think that they understand what teenagers want, but without getting ideas straight from the source, it's always a gamble. Later in this presentation, we'll talk more about specific ways that we can get teens involved in coming up with programs or giving their opinions on current programs. But for now, it's just important to keep in mind that these programs are for teenagers. The only people in our community that truly understand teens and the programs that they want are the teens themselves. Now that we've spoken about teen library spaces and programs in general, we'll be moving on to discussing why it is important to keep our teen library space separate from our children's space and suggested improvements for our space in particular.
As Punky shared, our next topic we'll be covering are the cons of combining teen and children's services. This will be presented by our colleague Sophia.
Libraries have long been bastions of learning, community, and enrichment for individuals of all ages. However, the discussion to combine teen and children's services within library systems has been met with mixed results. There are some general cons to combining teen and children's services in libraries, and these include developmental differences. Children and teens have different developmental needs and interests. Combining services may make it challenging to cater effectively to each group, as they require distinct resources, programs, and environments. This can lead to children and teens feeling that they are not having their needs seriously considered when resources and programs are allocated for them. And parents may be more likely to insist changes be made to the system as a result. Age appropriateness. Materials and programs suitable for children may not be suitable for teens, and vice versa. Combining services may lead to difficulties in ensuring age-appropriate content and activities. Children may not be able to read materials or attend programs for teens, possibly leading to children feeling alienated in a merged space and parents frustrated that there are no separated out materials and programs just for their youth. Space limitations. Libraries have finite space, and combining services may result in overcrowding or inadequate space for specific age groups. Teens, in particular, may prefer and often need spaces tailored to their needs for studying, socializing, or engaging in activities. Combined teen and children spaces make it hard for both sets of age groups to grow, socialize with their peers, and can often make them feel stifled. Even the smallest space separated out for teens and children can show youth patrons that they have a concrete, welcoming space at the library. Resource allocation. Budgets for children and teen services may differ, and combining them could lead to unequal resource allocation or reduced funding for specific age groups. This means that there can be multiple levels of confusion regarding which services get how much funding and who makes the final funding call in the first place. Programming challenges. Crafting programs that engage both children and teens simultaneously can be challenging due to their differing interests, abilities, and developmental stages. It may be difficult to find activities that appeal to both groups. What is fun and interesting to children can often be boring or frustrated to teens, and vice versa, which can lead to both groups feeling uncomfortable and alienated in these programming spaces. Privacy concerns. Teens often value privacy and independence, especially in places outside of school and at home. Combining services would make it harder for teens to access resources and services discreetly, especially if they have to share said spaces with younger children. It would effectively make any program or library space potentially shared with children and would invade any peace or fun atmosphere a teen would want to build for themselves. Staff expertise. Librarians may specialize in either children's or teen services, and combining them may require staff to stretch their expertise across both age groups, potentially leading to gaps in knowledge or service quality. Having dedicated staff who specialize in teens or children's services allows the teen and children's patrons to feel like there are specialists available for their interests who can understand their needs and wholeheartedly engage with them. And finally, behavioral differences. Children and teens may exhibit different behavioral patterns, requiring different approaches to management and discipline. Combining services may lead to conflicts or difficulties in maintaining a conducive environment for all patrons, children, and teens. These examples underscore the importance of recognizing and addressing the unique needs of teen and children patrons within library settings. Teenagers and younger children possess distinct developmental characteristics, interests, and preferences that warrant tailored programming and resources. By combining teen and children services, libraries risk diluting the quality and relevance of programs offered to each demographic, leading to decreased engagement and satisfaction among patrons. Additionally, the challenges associated with navigating the diverse needs of multiple age groups within a single department can strain resources and compromise the overall effectiveness of library services. The decision to combine teen and children's services in libraries must be approached with caution and careful consideration, and is ultimately a poor choice a library can make. Libraries play a vital role in fostering learning, community engagement, and enrichment for individuals of all ages, and it is imperative that we prioritize the diverse needs of our patrons as we strive to create inclusive and accessible library environments. This can best be done by keeping the teen and children spaces separate from each other.
Hello, my name is Tessa Stone. For the rest of our presentation, we are going to be focusing on improvements that can be made in our teen space, as well as looking to other teen spaces in other libraries. However, for this part of the presentation, I want to focus on one very strong improvement that can be made. This is making our teen space and teen programs to be only 13 to 18-year-olds. In order to prove why this is needed, we need to look at what is currently happening within our teen space. While there are many wonderful things about our library's teen space right now, our team has noticed that the programs are mostly attended by 9 to 12-year-olds or tweens. We have also noticed that the teen space is filled with the same age group, and they are often accompanied by their families. It is believed that the teens just do not want these services or do not have the time to stop by. However, it seems to our team that they're silently being pushed out of these spaces that were originally created for them. It is for this reason that we suggest that both programs and teen spaces be allowed strictly for 13 to 18-year-olds only. Other patrons would be allowed in the teen space to check out books and other materials. However, they would not be allowed to lounge or stay in the teen space and would be asked to move to spaces dedicated for them. Each age group has its own space within the library, and the teens need to be allowed to utilize their own space without fear of being pushed out by these other age groups. So now I want to look strictly at our programs. The programs are created for specific age groups. We have them for adults, children, and teens. Children's programs are much different from adult programs because they have very different needs. There's a clear distinction there. Teens are often forgotten about because they fall somewhere in the middle between the children and the adults. However, their needs are very different from both groups. In her book, Real World Teen Services, Jennifer Velasquez does a great job of stating how these programs differ. Two of the most important ones she points out are that there are a different level of parental involvement for tweens and teens. And these programs help teens become decision makers and program producers. Teens are becoming more and more independent, and it is important for them to practice this independence and work on their leadership skills. They are seeking these opportunities, but libraries often do not see this need. Children ages 9 to 12 are going to want to be included in these spaces and programs. However, their needs differ. And if we begin to tailor teen programs to older children's needs, then the teen population their needs will not be met. There are programs already in place for these older children, and their needs are already being met in different areas. This is the same reason that adult patrons should not be allowed to attend teen programming. Again, they already have other programs tailored to their age group. However, this also changes the dynamic of teen programs in a different way. Having adults in programs can hinder teens from taking these leadership roles and from practicing their independence. Adults can feel entitled, and teens have been taught to listen to adults rather than challenge them. This is why it is a good idea to have teen-only events, meaning only 13 to 18-year-olds. When there are other groups, it hinders teens from meeting their needs and pushes them out of these programs that were created for them. All these reasons and examples is also why the teen space should be for 13 to 18-year-olds only. It's important that we do not stop any age group from checking out materials that they need. This is why patrons should know that they are allowed to look through the materials and get what they need. However, patrons who are not teens should not be allowed to stay in the teen space longer than a specific amount of time. Parents, like other adults, should be allowed to drop off their teens, but cannot stay with their teen in the space. Similar to the points mentioned earlier, teens will defer to their parents, be less likely to act like teenagers, and be less likely to seek the independence and leadership skills they need. However, if there is a desire for other age groups to be in the teen space, an option could be to open the teen space to other age groups during school hours. This will be a time when teens are not likely to need the space. It's important to remember the goal of these programs and the teen space. The goal is to create a space where teen needs are met. They are able to take leadership roles and begin to create a connection with the library community. The goal shouldn't be to fill the space and programs with as many people as possible to show high attendance. It should be to serve the teens the way that they need and deserve.
Our next presenter will be our colleague Francesca.
Hello, my name is Francesca Crudo. I am a teen librarian and I am going to talk about how to improve our library's teen space. Teenagers make up a significant portion of library users, but libraries need to consider that teenagers view the library as a stereotypical quiet place to study. Libraries need to consider becoming a place for providing resources for teenagers. Part of this includes providing a physical and virtual space for them. We recognize that not all libraries are the same when it comes to creating or improving their teen space. There are a few ways we can improve the teen space at our library. We can improve our teen space is having teens be involved. There are a variety of reasons to allow teens to be involved. It allows them to give input on what should or shouldn't be in their space. They can be involved in choosing what type of furniture, fixtures, and technology would be in their space. If teens feel like their voices are heard, it also allows them to have a sense of ownership of their space. With that, their library experience will enhance as well as being able to attract other teenagers to the library. This point ties in with teenagers being involved in the improvement of the space. We need to have the space reflect the teen community. There are some other things we need to consider when it comes to the space reflecting the teen community. The space size should be proportional to the teen population. Make sure it's clear that the space is for teens, and make sure the space is compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act. Since the teen community is constantly evolving, we need to make sure that this space evolves with them. This could also include having appropriate materials for them, whether it be having appropriate and up-to-date materials or having the best technology available to them. Another way we can improve our teen space is by making it encouraging, safe, welcoming, and positive. By this I mean teens should be comfortable to be themselves in this space. Teens should want to learn, grow, and be creative in this space. The space isn't solely for learning in a school sense, but teenagers can interact with others and learn from each other as well. Teens should also feel welcome and safe in this space. If they do not feel encouraged, safe, or welcomed in this space, we need to reevaluate how to make this space so that they do feel that way. One possibility to ensure this is through developing a set of guidelines and making sure that both patrons and staff are aware of them. The last thing we should improve on is virtual spaces. A virtual space is just as important as a physical space. We need to remember that teenagers grew up with technology and it is an important aspect of their lives. With our virtual spaces, we need to make sure that it is acceptable for teens. This could mean making it easy for teens to find the information they want. Another thing we must consider is the safety of teenagers. This could mean providing classes on how to use emerging technologies, show positive interactions online, or getting teenagers' consent on using their name, image, etc. if we want to use them online. Like with physical spaces, we should make sure that we are meeting teenagers' needs and wants. Teens can help us ensure that the virtual space we provide is up to their standards, but interacting with libraries on how to make sure this happens. We also must keep in mind making our virtual spaces accessible for those with visual, auditory, and motor disabilities. Providing a new or updated physical and virtual space can be beneficial to both the library and its teenage patrons. We need to have input from our teenage patrons, have our physical space reflect the teenage community, have an environment that is encouraging, safe, welcoming, and positive, and have a virtual space that teens can turn to as well. Even though the world is constantly changing, one thing that can be a steady thing is getting teenagers to use our space regardless if it's in a physical or visual capacity. We just need to keep up with them. Thank you.
Our next presenter is our colleague Raven, who will be talking about other improvements that we can make to the program as well.
Hi, my name is Raven, and I'll be talking about the current program's improvement. We have many programs in the library dedicated to teens, and the teen service librarians do an excellent job of trying to maintain the fact that they are for teens. But we are seeing teens that are no longer participating in the programs, and the programs being catered to 9 to 12-year-olds. This is a problem due to the fact that they are for teens, and teens do not like being associated with 9 to 12-year-olds. These programs are important to teen services within the library and need to be more focused on teens that want to enjoy doing these programs. We need to focus on finding teens that are willing to do the programs that we offer, as well as any new programs that we will offer in the future. There are 3 steps to improve programs that are currently in place and to promote new programs that the library will serve to the teens. These steps will be detailed later, but they will include research and dedicated time to the teens to allow for their input on what we are doing. These programs are to be catered to the teens only, not to 9 to 12-year-olds that want to participate in teen programs. Again, this is due to the fact that 9 to 12-year-olds have been seen in our programs dedicated towards teens that want to feel like they're grown up, but are not quite there yet to be able to participate in the teens programs. The first step to making these programs improved is to conduct a survey to the teens that are interested in the programs that the library offers. The survey will try to reach as many teens as possible and will be useful in collecting data on what's going wrong with the programs that are being offered. The survey is informal, and using something like Google Forms can help with understanding what is going wrong with our programs and why teens are no longer interested in joining the programs and having that on the side of what they're doing in the library. With the first step, also conduct focus groups with teens that want to participate in programs or find that they are lacking. These focus groups will discuss programs that are currently offered and what can be done to improve those programs. Focus groups help with understanding the way the teen thinks, and that way we can understand what we are doing that causes teens to not be interested in our programs. We need to focus on doing this first step before we do anything else. The second step is to take research that was collected through the survey and focus groups and use it to implement changes within this program. The research is raw data that can be used to help implement new ideas within our programs. The programs that are offered will use this data to change and to incorporate the messages that the teens gave to improve function and accessibility. While accessibility may not always be the top priority, functionality is important to the programs to make sure that they are catered towards teens, for teens, and by teens. We want them to have as much input in the programs that they are being offered so that they want to join our programs. This also means that the data will indicate that there's a lack of direct focus on teens instead of the 9 to 12-year-olds, making it harder for teens to participate in the programs. Participation within the teens has been lowered due to the fact that 9 to 12-year-olds have been taking over the teens section. This is important to keep in mind that we need to focus on the teens and what they have told us in the focus groups and survey to allow us to improve our programs. This research is important because it shows where the library is going wrong with the programs offered and how to improve the programs that may come in the future. We offer a lot of programs, but some may not be the best programs to be offered due to the fact that teens no longer want to do those programs, or they find them lacking in another way, such as not enough interest by the teens in that certain program. The third step and final step to improving the programs is to implement the research into the programs. Adjusting the timing and frequency of programs can improve the quality of the programs offered. By adjusting when we allow the programs to be run and where can help improve the timing for the teens so that they will be able to join and participate in the programs, allowing them to be more interested in the programs we offer. Another thing to consider is taking away some programming and replacing it with programs that the teens actually want. Through the focus group, we can assess what needs to be removed from our programs list and what needs to be added, such as makerspace, creativity levels, and movie nights may also be part of what we can offer in the future. By using the research to improve programs, it allows for the teens to feel like they're involved with creating and improving the programs. We want the teens to be able to have a say in the programs that they are being offered. This will increase the likelihood of them participating in those programs, and also they feel like they've done something good for the library. This will allow teens to spread via word of mouth that these programs are being offered and that they have potential to become great. Teens will also be more likely to come to the programs if they know the tweens are not present within them. Yes, the tweens, the 9 to 12-year-olds, need to not be present within the teen space. And by enhancing the space and making sure that the 9 to 12-year-olds are no longer in the space, we can present the new teen programs and the old to those teens that want to participate. All in all, this is not a difficult task, but it is lengthy and needs to take time and effort to make sure that we are presenting these teens with programs that they are actually going to be interested in and that they are going to enjoy doing. We want them to be present and capable of suggesting ideas through focus groups and the survey to allow that the programs we offer will be in their interest and not something that is presented on the side as something that the library does but does not take any pride in. We want to have pride in the teen programs, not to deliver them to the tweens, 9 to 12-year-olds, and focus on what is going to make the teens interested in the programs. Thank you.
Our next presenter is our colleague Vashni.
Hi everyone, my name is Vashni and I will be discussing with you the best practices from other library systems. There are numerous libraries with a strong youth engagement strategy that helps them have increased teen attendance. However, there's one library in particular that I wanted to go in depth with, and that is the Calgary Public Library. It is one of the libraries that have designed their programs with the understanding of teen development. Calgary Public Library is located in Alberta, Canada, and has a clear-cut youth engagement strategy that has also been developed with the help of youth volunteers. In their model, they support teens in various ways, and I wanted to discuss the different ways that they support teens. They support teens' wellness, and this is crucial because they have an understanding of the importance of mental health issues as they emerge. They have an understanding of the stress levels that teens may also experience due to various factors such as school, such as figuring out their post-secondary education, such as securing employment for the future, so figuring out a career path. So these things can cause stress onto a teen, and so the library understands this as well as works towards supporting teens' wellness and supporting teens' mental health and all these other areas of their health. They also support teens as emerging adults. This is crucial because the library understands that especially older teens are nearing their future career. They're nearing getting a future career or working towards a future career, and so the library helps them in this way as well. They support them and their career resources and opportunities, and this includes volunteer opportunities and as well as leadership skills. So this is important to recognize because the Calgary Public Library has a firm understanding that teens are emerging adults and they need to be supported in this way. Another way that the library understands that teens need to be supported is as individuals. Oftentimes, teens are classified or categorized as one group and generalized as one group. However, there are many different teens, different individuals that make up the teen demographic, and each one of them has their own unique experience. Therefore, generalizing or assuming one thing of one teen to be true of all teens rather hinders growth within the library. And so Calgary Public Library understands they need to support teens as individuals, whether that is newcomer youth, Indigenous youth, vulnerable groups, and so forth. Another way that they look towards supporting teens is as students. A lot of times, currently, many teens are full-time in school, and so as a result, libraries realize the importance of providing that extra help, whether that is tutoring resources, whether that is on their website, or books, textbooks, materials, study guides, and so forth. They also recognize teen development, and so they recognize that they need to support teen development, as in this particular age, there are many brain changes, and it's very dramatic in this particular age group. So the philosophy for Calgary Public Library is that teens have complex needs, and Calgary Public Library provides strong evidence-based teen services to support this core audience in many ways. So considering all the ways that they're supporting teens or they seek to support teens, it's important that to recognize this is kind of their fundamental groundwork into catering programs, into selecting programs, into crafting programs, into surveying teens to make programs that will work towards their development, work towards supporting them as students, work towards helping them as individuals, emerging adults, and supporting their wellness as well. Now, let's go on, and I wanted to talk more about the different programming in particular that Calgary Public Library is doing. So how are they actually practically supporting them? So one of the ways that they are supporting them is by having a volunteering program. The teen library, the Calgary Public Library in the teen section, has a vibrant program where the youth volunteering is their most impactful teen program. Over 1,100 teen volunteers supports library programs and special events. So what they do is Calgary Public Library recruits volunteers to help them with organizing programs. And since many of them are in the age group where they're looking for volunteer hours, this is a wonderful way for teens to get involved as they are recruited for volunteer hours. All the while, they are building leadership skills, they're building confidence, they're also giving back to the community by providing teen programs. Youth volunteers are also part of the Teen Think Tank. And what the Teen Think Tank is a group of members which are kind of regularly they get surveyed for any feedback. So anything that is they think for the future how things should be. Other programs that are happening is gaming programs and creative programs. So gaming programs really target teens who would like to socialize. So this is socializing with video games, socializing to support a healthy social development. And this works well and has been proven to work well in Calgary Public Library because it is it increases the engagement for those who would like to socialize. And whereas those who want to express themselves creatively, the library also provides that. And so they do creative programs to help learn new techniques, to help support interest-based learning. And interest-based programs include things like creative writing. Other ones include music and bicycle mechanics and coding. Much of Calgary's public library's engagement strategy involves research, and I think this is very valuable and something that other libraries can practice as well as understanding research and the brain changes in the development as well as the social development of teens in this category, this age group. When designing their programs and when designing the schedules for their programs and understanding the way that the brain executive functions. For example, the engagement strategy highlights that programs should be kept consistent to make it easier for teens to remember and allow last-minute drop-ins, because studies have shown that teens' rhythms are different than those of children or adults. So on the weekend mornings, they're most likely to be sleeping, whereas the other groups may be awake. And they're also transitioning between childhood and adults. So there is a different responsibility that is occurring during that transition. And so it's important to include flexibility when making programs, when scheduling programs, when accepting registrations, and also figuring out programs that they are passionate in or engaged in, which again goes back to surveying them when they attend these programs or just surveying them or openly. So this is some of the things that Calgary Public Library is doing, and some of these practices of recruiting volunteers, of figuring out research in order to design their programs. And it's something that can be applied in other libraries as well.
My colleagues and I would like to thank you for listening to this presentation, and we hope that it was enlightening why we should not combine the teen service with the children's services, but instead improve upon what is already here in order to meet teen needs.